This entitled mother is about to ask a question that is going to put fear into the hearts of all those around her. What's wrong with my little angel? Just watch as these people have to deal with the pain that this woman has brought. Happy birthday, today's your birthday, and on with the revamped show. I'm a lifeguard this summer. Good summer job. Get paid well. I love the job. I hate this part. You probably already know who me and EM and EK are. I had told EK that he couldn't run on the pool deck. 99% of people that hear me tell them to walk don't run again. This kid decided he was gonna stop at my whistle, hear me say, please walk, then proceed to break back into a full sprint. Mind you, he's about 12. I blew my whistle and told him to walk, and as is my protocol, if he runs again, he has to sit out for 15 minutes. This is company policy. It's laid out in our handbook very clearly. Here's where the fun begins. He decides to start running again. Okay, EK, come over here and sit down right here. No, I'm not asking, I'm telling you to do this. Only EM can tell me what to do. Okay, where is EM? Tell her to come here and speak with me, okay? EM overheard this. She storms over to me. I saw her haircut and I immediately thought of what I was going to tell the police later. What seems to be the problem with my little angel? As EK sprints to the stand. Listen, I've told him 3 times now to walk on the deck in under a minute. He's refused each time. I cannot have that here, so I'm gonna have him sit out for 15 minutes. If you have a better idea, I'd love to hear it. Why can't he run? He's a kid. Kids run. He needs to get his energy out. Yes, you are correct. Kids have lots of energy, but him running is not safe for him, for you, or anyone else at the pool. We're very crowded today, and I'm trying to keep everyone as safe as possible, and I'd hate to have anything happen to him on my watch. So you think he can sit there on your little stand, tell my kid what to do for no reason, and then sit here and not even bother to make eye contact with me? Here I was a bit mad, but the American Red Cross teaches us to never take your eyes off the pool for any reason other than an emergency outside the pool, even when you're talking to someone. I explained this to her, how it's a big liability, and it can get people hurt. I want to hear from your supervisor that there's no way you can tell my child what he can and cannot do. Okay, EK? Go along. EK, stay out of the water. You're still sitting out. You need to wait. EM, I'd like you to read the pool rules. They clearly state that the lifeguard has the right to deny use of the pool at any time to anyone at their discretion. So I'd like EK to sit out for another 12 minutes, and after that he can go back in the water. No! EK's gonna do exactly what he wants. Ma'am, if you're not gonna let me do my job, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave the pool area. You have to listen to the lifeguards. I know it may not seem fair, but I tell a lot of kids not to run. All that needs to happen, EM cutting me off. Where is your supervisor? I need to see him immediately. He works in his office, ma'am. It could be a while, and I have to wait until Adult Swim since I can't leave the stand to call him till then. Mind you, Kid Swim had just started. It'd be 30 minutes before I call him anyways, and I'd call the cops sooner. That's fine. In the meantime, EK and I will enjoy our pool. No, you won't. Y'all cannot enter the pool for at least another 10 minutes. EM starts shaking the stand, trying to get me to fall out of the stand, and I decided I'd jump into the pool in order to avoid the concrete pool deck making contact with my whole body. If you don't leave this pool immediately, I'm gonna call the cops, EM. No, you won't. What would they arrest me for? Trespassing? Assault probably? I'd like to see you try! Long story short, I got out of the pool, cleared the pool so I could call the cops, and of course, the only people that didn't leave the pool are EM and EK. Cops came, arrested her for trespassing. I gave a statement, and so did a few people around, but it gets better. This particular pool is owned by the HOA, Homeowners Association. Basically people that live in the neighborhood pay to have perks like pool and cookouts and such, and the president of the HOA was there, and after seeing the incident, removed EM from the HOA. I also got a raise, and this is the only incident report I filed this summer. I have no clue what happened to her legal wise, but I know my pool management company is pressing charges, and I'll probably see EM soon enough in court. Entitled parents put in so much effort to try and get their way, and yet they almost always end up with much more trouble than they asked for in the first place. Yeah, it's a bit of a hassle to not swim in the pool for 15 minutes. Maybe you felt it was unfair because kids should run or blah 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 whatever. You know what's worse than not being able to swim in a pool for 15 minutes? Being arrested, having charges pressed against you, having to go to court. It's like that little switch in the brain that says, suffer temporary pain for long-term benefit is just switched off. My boyfriend and I were coming back from a lovely holiday in Indonesia, and we were waiting for a collecting flight from Singapore to Amsterdam. This is a 13-hour flight, and we were already exhausted and stupidly tired. In the waiting area, there were a lot of parents with children. Kids are always annoying on flights, but hey, what can you do? If I find it stressful and uncomfortable, kiddos must find it even worse, though at least they have legroom. So we decided to settle in a quieter waiting area before the gate opens. We're basically the only ones there. We were hoping to catch a few Z's on a flat surface before getting on the plane, and then a couple and their 2 daughters, aged about 3 and 7, come and sit almost beside us, which was inconsiderate, but whatever. Then the kids started getting cranky, fighting over the iPad, and eventually screaming their heads off. Dad is mentally checked out, ignoring everything, and Mum is getting just as upset as the kids, which never solves anything, promising them candy and to buy them another iPad when they get home. So, no sleep for us. Eventually we get sick of listening to this and we head over to the gate to get in line about an hour before the flight. About 15 minutes before boarding, this family comes over to line up for the flight, but instead of getting in the massive line, they stand right at the front, next to the line. I realize this lady thinks she is going to get to board first because she has kids. When they make the call for parents traveling with infants, she proudly steps out in front of the parents with tiny babies. I'm sorry ma'am, but the early boarding is for parents with infants only.
But I do have infants, look!
No, an infant is classified as a child that is too young to walk.
But my daughter's in a stroller.
At this point, she yells at her 3-year-old daughter to get in the stroller, and when she refuses, she then tries to wrestle her into the stroller with one arm while talking to the flight attendant. Now the kid is crying her head off, and the other kid starts crying, and then the very small baby in the pram beside her starts wailing. The mum of the crying infant is traveling alone with 3 other small children, and she is visibly upset. I felt so bad for her. Her kids, however, were at least well behaved and trying to help her soothe the baby. I'm sorry ma'am, but you'll have to wait in line with everyone else. At this point, the line is like 200 people long. It's a big plane, and she starts whimpering and stammering, and then yelling.
But I have kids, you can't do this to me, I'm a parent, nobody cares.
There are lots of kids in line. She hangs around the flight attendant yelling at her until she realizes she's not going to get her way. I should also note that her husband is on his phone, totally not paying attention or attending to their children in any way. They're still crying their heads off. So then she starts walking up the line, making a big show about how much she's struggling with her bags, asking every person if she could cut in front of them. My boyfriend was overjoyed to tell her no after she ruined his nap. Most people just outright ignore her and nobody lets her in. One older English lady even told her to bugger off. I imagine she does this often on flights based on her confidence. With 2 young children, it's probably been a long time since she had to wait in the line. I hope she now realizes that early boarding is for the benefit of the infant, not a reward for reproducing. It's pretty sad, but you can kind of tell for the dad. He was so mentally checked out because he's obviously just exhausted. And it's hard to tell if his disconnect from the kids is what's caused the kids' behavior to be so bad, or the kids behaving so bad is what's caused him to check out. Perhaps it's just a vicious cycle, which I guess makes the whole thing just even worse. I mean, how do you stop something like that? You have to actively fight against your impulse to check out, and be that much more actively involved in parenting your children, or else it's just never gonna get better. I'm a bartender at a local pub, and I normally work nights. I normally stay up until 3 AM because we close at 2 AM, and closing duties normally take an hour. However, this time, I was working a day shift. I didn't really know any of the daytime servers, unfortunately. However, I knew I was working with a fairly new girl. The cast is Manager, me, Server, S, Entitled Grandpa, EG, and his daughter, about 26, D. So I'm doing a stereotypical bartender thing and cleaning a beer glass. The bar is dead and there are 2 tables sitting in the dining room, so I was just minding my own business, checking Snapchat, doing the usual thing. Then I hear yelling from all the way across the restaurant.
Are you kidding me? This is a gosh darn BLT with little mayo.
I'm so sorry, sir.
Don't you know that the BLT is supposed to be loaded with mayo?
I guess the kitchen messed up. At this point, I'm running over.
That's what all you gosh darn servers say. You're so stupid.
The server runs off crying. What the heck is going on? Daughter looks horrified at the entire situation.
Your stupid server didn't put enough mayo on my sandwich.
She's not the one making the darn sandwich. It's the cooks in the kitchen.
Show some respect, young man. I want to speak to the manager.
You're speaking to him right now.
It's the same darn excuses every time. I'm out of here.
He gets up and storms out of the restaurant without looking back. Dee looks up at me. I'm so sorry. He has anger issues. Here, can you bring some to-go boxes and the check? I'll pay. Certainly, miss. I bring her all the stuff and the check. Your server is so sweet. Tell her I'm sorry, and I hope this makes up for it. She leaves a $20 tip on a $25 check. After she leaves, I hear my server crying in the bathroom. So I call my boss and she gives me permission to let her go for the day when she comes out. About 20 minutes later, she finally comes out. Her eyes bloodshot and makeup completely washed away. I release her for the day, and I even give her $50 out of my own wallet to make up for what she probably would have made working today. Thankfully the server didn't quit, and I start working more mornings from then on to help her out. Some people get so upset over the tiniest things. And it does make you think, are you that upset about little things all the time? I think some people are. It's just in their nature. Whereas occasionally I think for some, they've had a build-up of lots of bad things happening to them and then one little thing is the final straw, so to speak. Even if that was the case, that by no means excuses his behavior. How hard is it to simply say, hey, I would like some more mayonnaise on this. Could you please take it back to the kitchen and add some more mayonnaise? Yeah, not very hard. So coworker and I are lifeguards, and the way our company works is HOAs contract our company, and our company sends lifeguards to work at the neighborhood pools. So this specific pool is in a very nice neighborhood, and the people here, while all rich, are pretty humble. But also being in this area, I was expecting a wild Karen to show up at some point, and lo and behold, it happens. So our pool doesn't have pool tags, but a fingerprint scanner that unlocks the magnet. So we could see that the door wasn't opening for this lady, and she waves us over to the gate, so coworker and I head over.
The fingerprint isn't working. Can you let us in, please?
Sorry ma'am, we can't let you in if the fingerprint doesn't work.
But my grandchildren want to come to play in the pool, and my daughter has their fingerprint but is away on vacation. I'm babysitting them, so how do you expect me to let them in the pool?
Ma'am, we're still not allowed to. At other pools that have keys or key fobs, if they don't work, or don't have one, we're not supposed to let them in. Even though it is a fingerprint, it's the same concept.
It's the HOA here.
Most likely going to see if the HOA would just tell us to let them in. We don't think so, but you're more than welcome to schedule an appointment with them.
Who's the HOA? I want to speak with them.
I don't know, I've never met them. Coworker has, because she lives in the neighborhood, but has only met her once.
You don't know your HOA? How do you work here then?
We're not employed by the HOA. They employ our company and our company employs us. At this point, C and I have our resting bee faces.
You know what? I'm going to call my daughter.
Proceeds to call daughter.
Yeah, they're not letting us in. They said we need a fingerprint, but you're out of town.
She was on speaker.
I told you to get a fingerprint done when I left.
C and I try hiding smug grins, but that wasn't the end of it.
Who's not letting you in? Who are they? You're on speaker. They can hear you.
We're lifeguards.
Well, I'm not there. Can't you let them in?
We explained to her again the thing about not letting people in without fingerprints. EM starts getting a little agitated, but I'm not there. I can send a picture of my driver's license so you can see my address. You can see where I live. My mother can show you to her house. I don't even want to start going anywhere outside this gate, let alone her house. We're not allowed to leave the pool also. I pay thousands of dollars to live there and you can't let them use the pool? I can hear her talking in the background to someone.
The lifeguards won't let them in.
She repeats this 2 times and coworker and I can hear it's a man she's talking to, most likely her husband.
What's going on?
He sounds absolutely furious.
Give me the phone. Who are you?
He's directing the question to us. C and I look at each other, obviously very uncomfortable at the thought of giving our names to strangers. He asks again, still very angry. Coworker gives her name, so I can't let her take all the blame, so I give my name too.
Name and name? I'll make sure you two don't have a job.
They hang up and the grandmother is still there.
He was very angry.
We can see that. Anyways, have a good day. And the sad part is, one of the two kids, who was a little boy, was calling to us while walking away. Sorry, so sorry. And he was waving. We felt so bad for those kids. I called my supervisor to give him a heads up, and he told us to fill an incident report because they might get a call from them within the week, and they want to know what happened. But our supervisor calmed us down and said we'd be fine, and that we did our jobs perfectly. Entitled people in these situations always try and bully you. They try and push you to break the rules or go against what your job is supposed to be by making the thing that they're asking for just so simple, it's so easy. You know, just let us in, what's the big deal? You're making a big deal out of nothing. The thing they don't realize is, yes, maybe in this one particular situation, the property owners gave them permission and, you know, it was all fine. But there's a couple things in that are a problem. One, well, if everyone was allowed to do that, then nobody would bother to get the spare fingerprints to actually get in there, right? And so it'd always be a big hassle whenever guests are trying to use the facilities. And number two, there are definitely going to be situations where people try and take advantage of it when they're not really allowed to use the facilities. So just because you're using it legitimately, supposedly, doesn't mean everybody else is going to. That's why they have the policy there in the first place. They're not doing it to just be jerks. Man, what's with lifeguards getting picked on by EPs today? If you see a lifeguard, tell them thanks. Not just for looking out for you while you're swimming, but also for being one of the frontline defenders against the war on entitled people. Submit your story to be read on the channel at VoiceyHereStories@gmail.com and join our Voicey veteran community at r/VoiceyHere. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode. Alright, Voicey veterans, I'll see you in the next one.